So let's talk about digital cameras. Now there's many types of digital cameras. We're going to talk about 3 different types today. Well, maybe about 4 different types today. So first, what we're going to start off by talking about is what is a pixel and how many pixels do you actually need? Well, pixels are the smallest part of a photograph. It should say photograph, not photography. And when you zoom in Photoshop, which you may have done accidentally, you're going to see almost like a little grid, but those are the pixels that will build your photograph. So 1 megapixel equals 1 million pixels. So if you have a 6 megapixel camera, you would be working with 6 megapixels per photograph. The more pixels you have, roughly the better quality photograph you are going to have. So this is an example. If you take a look, the overall photograph is what you would be looking at, and as you zoom in closer, closer, and closer, you have the little building blocks. Some say they're the dots, but they're actually little tiny squares that make up your photographs. So let's talk about resolution. Resolution is basically directly related to pixels. It refers to the number of pixels, horizontally and vertically, in your photographs. And the higher the resolution, the better details you're going to have, or the better quality photograph you are going to have. When we talk about resolution, for Photoshop, for our purposes in class, 300 is the magic number, if you will, for any of our Photoshop documents. This will make anything that we print out of the printer have good quality. It will not pixelate, meaning you won't see the little dots. On the web, a lot of times when you pull a picture off of the web and you say you enlarge either in Photoshop or in a Word document, maybe for a flyer, you'll notice that when you enlarge it, it pixelates. It gets very blurry, it gets very fuzzy, and you see the little squares. Well, this is because the majority of web images are 72 resolution. The reason being is when you look at something on the web, whether it's on your computer or your smartphone, you're looking at it very small. You're only looking at it a couple inches big in either direction. Therefore, meaning you don't need to have a very good quality image because you're looking at it so small. However, if you're going to be blowing something up to say an 8x10 or larger, you would want to have more megapixels so that it will not pixelate. The smaller megapixels you have, the quicker it's going to pixelate. Types of digital cameras. Okay, the first one we're going to talk about are your camera phones, which, truth be told, is my least favorite camera phone. One of the pros that they have are most times they're affordable, they're convenient. Most people take their phones everywhere they go. They're beginning to offer more and more options and features. The better the technology gets, the more options they're inputting into our phones. It's very easy to send. Some cameras have options that you can send your photographs right to Facebook every time you take them. You can send them to your grandmother in China. You can send them anywhere very, very quickly. So it makes it very simple to have other people access your photographs. Some of the cons, however, are that they have low resolution. Most of camera phones have very low resolution, meaning that they don't have a high number of pixels to take your photographs. They low quality for print because of the megapixels that they have. Although new cameras such as the iPhone 5 has an 8 megapixel camera, which gives you a much better quality image. Limited features. Again, that is beginning to change, but some of our basic camera phones don't have very many features. And it has a limited zoom, which we'll talk about very soon. Zoom, if you have any quality zoom at all, which you probably don't, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. Controversies or dangers with the cell phones. Well, one thing you have to keep in mind is when you're using your phone, especially in public places, for instance, bathrooms or in school, people are very cautious of you taking photographs in those places because of the accessibility of what you could do with them and how quickly you can send them, especially when it comes to bullying in schools and a lot of other different controversies as well. So you have to really be careful where you do use your camera phone and what you do with those photographs. So the top 3 camera phones at this particular moment are the iPhone 5, which has an 8 megapixel camera. We have the Samsung Galaxy, which also has an 8 megapixel camera. and the HTC One. This again has an 8 megapixel camera. These are the top 3 right now, and currently it's September in 2012. So those are our top picks right now. So within this presentation, you can, if we click here,
I'm Emily Davenport, and this is Techno.
Video.
Today, we're going to show you how to become a master smartphone photographer. Time waits for no man, and the same goes for good photos. You have to be quick on the draw to capture that magic moment. For easy access, put your camera app in your home screen. That way you won't miss that just right moment looking through your phone for your photo app. Smartphones don't perform well in low light conditions, so shoot with the light, not against it. The light source should be behind you and falling on the subject, so that the subject is well lit. A quick tip: if you want to get creative, do the opposite. Shoot against the light to create a silhouette. Place the subject between the light source and the camera. Just remember, too much light can be as bad as too little light. A smartphone flash can be harsh, so take 2 pictures, one with and one without the flash. Resist the temptation to zoom in on the subject. Most smartphones use digital zoom, which is like stretching a photograph. You'll end up with a not so clear picture. If you want a close-up, just walk closer to the subject. You might even find it worthwhile to invest in a monopod or a tripod, or you can just tuck your elbows into your sides for stability. For the best picture, leave the focus setting on auto, but do let the lens focus for a second or 2 before clicking. What you see is really what you get, so frame your shot right. Get creative, vary your vantage point, move around, try different angles. Your moment is captured, your memory made, but what if the photo's flawed? What can you do? Sync your phone to your computer and use a photo editing tool. You can tweak color levels or even go black and white. Hipstamatic and Instagram on the iPhone, or FX Camera and Vignette on the Android are just a few of the photo editing apps you can use to add effects. You can apply various special effect filters or give your photo an old-fashioned Polaroid type look. Take advantage of these and other touch-up tools, and you'll be on your way to becoming a master at smartphone photography. For Techno, I'm Emily Davenport. See you next time.
Okay, let's head back to our presentation. Let's know just a little bit about how to use your smartphone if that is the only choice that you have. Okay, let's talk about compact cameras. Compact cameras are what a lot of us have at home. They're ultra compact. They can fit in your shirt pocket. They can fit in your pocket or your purse. These are a little bit more affordable than some of our bigger cameras. They range from anywhere from $100 up to $300 or $350. They have a lot of range of features, meaning if you different settings, lots of different features that you can use that you normally would not have on your smartphone. This is an example. This is the Nikon Coolpix. A lot of your compact cameras look very similar to this. Some of them are smaller, some of them are thinner, depending on the brand. Some compact cameras have a touchscreen, so that's something you want to think about when you're buying a digital camera, is do you want a touchscreen, or do you like the idea of having buttons on the back of your camera? One thing to consider with this type of camera is that if for some reason you break it and the LCD screen breaks on the back, you can't really use it anymore because you can't look through the camera to see what you're shooting at. Just something to keep in mind. Advanced point and shoots. They have high quality lenses, advanced features, better zoom range, and manual features. What's nice about these is that you get the flexibility of having a bigger SLR camera with manual functions, and you get the flexibility with the automatic features that you would normally have in a compact camera. These range anywhere from $300 to maybe about $500 when buying one of these cameras. These are 2 examples. This is one of the examples that we have at school. This is a Nikon camera that we have at school. It has a great zoom on it. It's a little bit, this is what I kind of call a hybrid or a crossover camera between a compact camera and an SLR. So these are actually kind of nice. They're in between both of those cameras, meaning it's a little bigger than a compact, and a little bit smaller than an SLR. Okay, let's talk about SLRs. Now, these are the professional cameras. SLR stands for single lens reflex. Now, these are the top of the line cameras. They have very high resolution images. They will blow away anything that you could take with your smartphone. They have interchangeable lenses, which we can see right over here. We can see that lens. They function automatically, but the biggest reason people buy these is that they have their manual controls, and they can control what the camera does. You can purchase the body and the lenses separately. The prices are moderately high to extremely expensive. They can be $500 upwards to tens of thousands of dollars for the really high-end cameras. This is an example. This is a Canon Rebel. We actually have 3 of these in class. Notice you have the lens off to the side, and those lenses come off, so you can put a zoom lens, you could put a wide-angle lens or a fisheye lens, and you can interchange them depending on what you're shooting. So maybe you're sitting there saying, all right, well, so the more megapixels I have, the better my photo quality will be? Not necessarily. Sensors are something you need to keep in mind when you're buying a digital camera. All cameras have sensors, and the larger the sensor, the better the image quality. The reason being is that the larger the sensor, the more information it records. So the more information you have, similar to megapixels in resolution, the more information you have, the better quality photograph you're going to get. It allows you to shoot more or less of a scene depending on the size of the sensor. The smaller the sensor, the less of the scene you shoot. So it's almost like you're cropping the scene down a little bit if you're using a smaller sensor. So SLRs would have the largest sensors of them all, and then your compact cameras have the smaller sensors. So how can a 6 megapixel SLR take a better photo than a 10 megapixel point and shoot? Because size matters. All pixels are not made the same. Larger sensors have larger pixels. They record an image and they do it better than a point and shoot would. SLRs have very large sensors, so you get to shoot the most of a scene, record lots of information. Point and shoots have small sensors, so it's kind of cropping your scenery down and not recording as much information. Megapixels versus print size, let's talk about that. If we take a look at this chart, say you have a smartphone or you have just a regular camera phone and it only has maybe 3.5 megapixels. Well, the biggest size that you would want to print with a camera with that amount of megapixels is roughly about a 5x7, maybe a little bit bigger than that. Because otherwise, if you go beyond that, you're going to be starting to lose quality. So remember, we're blowing those images up. So if you blow it up even farther, it's going to start to get pixelated and the image quality will be degraded significantly. So you do want to keep in mind how many megapixels you have and how big are you actually going to be printing out your images. If you're going for the gusto and you're printing out a huge an 18 by 24 image, you want something huge, you would want to have a significantly higher amount of megapixels in order for the quality to be very good. Just something to keep in mind. This is just a guide. You can still print an 18 by 24 with 12 megapixels and the quality will be pretty good. So this is just a guide.